Once a month or so, car guy, automotive print and broadcast journalist Jeremy Cato comes into Studio 4 to talk about everything from hot cars to the schizophrenia of the new car marketplace. He's a senior features writer at the Globe and Mail. He travels the globe to meet car moguls and car makers, and it is my pleasure to welcome Jeremy Cato back to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Oh, and I host Car Business on CTV and BNN,
of
too.
Of course you
Saturday
do.
mornings at 11
You're
on CTV.
so busy.
I know.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yes. Well, I mean, I've been thinking about privacy. I wrote about it today in the Globe. If you go to globemail.com and go to the Drive section, you'll see I read a blog there as well. Like everybody, you know, this endless black hole, which is the media today.
Well, they used to say blah, blah, blah. Now they say blog, blog, blog.
Yeah, but at least...
And some of us say bland, bland, bland.
Right. Well, I try to be controversial, so I don't write them as frequently as some other people. And they pay me, too, which is really great, because a lot of bloggers, you know, I look at like the Huffington Post. I mean, everybody who writes for the Huffington Post, except for 5 people, are doing it for free.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know.
Sam Stein gets paid for covering politics, but, you know, Alec Baldwin writes a blog for the Huffington Post. I mean, it's
Ariana Huffington, I've met her, and she's very charming.
And she sold that for $300 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a website with a bunch of recycled stories from everybody else.
Why didn't we think about that?
Well, I did, but you got to execute it, and you've got to get people to put it up. And I mean, you know, I have a pal who started a car website and they spent 10 years building that site, and they sold it to Auto Trader, I think. Okay. They didn't get rich, but they made some money.
Made some money. So what do you see as the future of a car dealer, bricks and mortar car dealers around the globe, as more people are going online, learning online? Oh, I think a car is something you have to feel and drive.
Oh, the future of the car dealer is complex, and I think what I mean by that is that people in the business of retailing and repairing and buying used cars are going to have to get increasingly sophisticated. You're seeing that a lot. The delivery of a vehicle is much more complex than it used to be. So, for example, Ford has this sync interactive control system, voice activated and all that sort of thing, which when they launched it seemed like a good idea, and then they upgraded it to something called My Ford Touch, which took those controllers and those voice activated to a new level, and it completely baffled almost everybody who bought the car. So much so that Ford went from being above average in J.D. Power quality ratings and Consumer Reports to below average in 1 year, because so many people complained about the difficulty of operating this quadrant electronic control interface and the voice activated. So Ford now is working with its dealers. First, they changed some of the systems, but even more important, Ford is working with its dealers in both Canada and the United States to change the delivery process so that when you buy a Ford, the salesperson or the delivery person walks you through how to use this thing completely, helps you set it up so that it's custom-made to you. You never did that before. I mean, when you bought a new car before, you know, you remember this. We certainly
it had a gas pedal and a gear shift,
right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and you showed
up, and a radio,
and
an ashtray,
right? And an antenna, you know, and that was it. And now, so you walked up, you bought your new car. Somebody gave you the keys. The salesman might have, or saleswoman, they were always salesmen in those days, would shake your hand, say, "Lovely, Fanny, glad you bought it. Never to call me again." And you didn't, because the salesman had probably 6 months later has left and gone to another dealership. Today, dealers are trying to retain good salespeople, and they're trying to refine that delivery process to the point where it does not show up in customer dissatisfaction.
Well, the car as a cocoon is a really interesting concept, because with all this flash and buzzes and all the stuff and the talking and almost have a television in the car, you know?
Oh, not almost. I mean, I've driven cars in Europe where the TV is on because it's legal. So you know, yes, in the centers.
Here they won't start.
No, you're not allowed to. You know, it darkens when you're moving, right?
Can't watch Real Housewives and drive down the road.
But you can still run a movie through the, you know,
of course, and keep the kids happy and all of that. So meditating in the car along the highway and getting lost in the windshield wipers in the past. Right, but that's where I did a lot of thinking. Where I do a lot of thinking, I have a simple inside.
Well, I wrote about this today to go back to that point about privacy, and one of the things that concerns me about all this connectivity in cars is somebody's collecting that data. Now, for example, BMW is working with a company in the U.S. called, I think it's called My City Link, and the idea here is that in a fully connected car, you'd be able to tell your car, I need a parking space on 6th and Main at 2 p.m. and it'll search out a parking lot and book a reservation. Well, that sounds like a nice idea, except when you start, wait a minute, do I want somebody out there to know that I'm parking at 6th and Main at 2 o'clock? Now, you know, and I know so this is a privacy issue. Or you ask your car to book you a dinner reservation. Well, that sounds like a nice idea until you think, well, who's collecting that data on where I'm eating, and who are they selling it to? This is Facebook's model, right?
Yes.
Or, you know, or Google's model. So all your private information is getting shared with who knows what, and I don't like that.
No, I don't either.
But
we're of a certain
old-fashioned.
generation, I know, or you're a titch younger than I am. But you know, we think about privacy. Our kids don't so much. Somebody said to me, you know, when we arrived, we got a new car, or a first car. That was a big thing for us. Kids today, the big thing is getting the iPod or the iPad or whatever.
Smartphone.
Getting a car is no big deal.
Which I do not understand, and. Because the kids, well, you know, when my kid turned 16, I lent him $825 to buy a Ford Ranger pickup, and we went shopping, and we spent a long time looking for the deal. And he's one of the few kids in his high school, he graduates from high school this June, who has his own vehicle.
Okay, yeah, car is freedom to him. Well, and he's got you as a father. That probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, but I mean, he borrowed the money. He's paid me back. He's paying me back. I mean, he hasn't paid it all back yet, but he's paying me back. But you know, his friends say, you know, we were skiing with a pal of his a couple of months ago, and he says, "Yeah, I got a car." And I said, "You do?" He says, "Yeah, I've got Sam's car." You know?
See, he's a smart kid. I take transit. I've got Sam's car. Why not?
But the freedom that Sam has to go to his training. I mean, he rows. He plays in a band. I mean, he's driving around all over the place.
Sure.
It's hugely valuable to him. I don't know what he'd do
Of course, and the
without a
parents
car.
are off the hook. The driving parent, you know how that goes. The Lincoln brand. You wrote something about the Lincoln brand.
Well, I mean, here's a good example of a dealership problem. You asked me about the future of car dealers. Lincoln and Cadillac are the two domestic premium/luxury brands, and neither can ever achieve any hugely high status equivalent to BMW, Mercedes, Audi, because they don't have standalone dealerships in Canada. Okay. And I believe that, and I think it's pretty clear, that if you're going to spend $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on a car, you're probably making a decent salary, or at least your company is subsidizing your lease.
Or you're pretending you are.
Or you're boring to the hill. But either way, there's that delivery process, you want that streamlined because you're probably time constrained. And so you don't have time to fool around with dealers that aren't responsive to your needs. When you send a text or an email, you want an instant response, and you want to go to a place where there's not all this other, shall we say this term, riffraff, wandering around the showroom. You know, you don't.
Well,
but these are the buyers. These are the buyers.
Because some of those places have a tuner for the tailpipe. You know,
Right.
I don't buy my car in those places, but I know they exist. Ford F-Series. We've got a whole list of cars.
Oh, we got cars.
We've got 5 minutes,
cars. Okay.
200 cars.
F-Series, well, best-selling pickup truck in Canada, the best-selling pickup truck in North America, best-selling pickup truck around the world, and this is the best-selling vehicle in Canada. Now, the irony about trucks is in this age, everybody's talking about fuel prices.
Right.
You know, gas is $1.50, $1.60, $1.70 a liter, $5 a gallon in the U.S. The best-selling vehicles in North America right now, light trucks.
Really, light trucks.
Light trucks. And in Canada, 57% of the market is light trucks, 43% is cars.
Really, I'm a big Kentucky Derby fan, so I saw Ram.
Yeah.
They bought the whole Derby coverage, pretty much.
Well, a Dodge Ram, I mean, I think, first of all, there's going to be a new version of this coming in the fall. Second best-selling vehicle in Canada right now. I mean, the Ram pickup.
Why?
Well, there's a $10,000 discount on it if you go buy one, factory to dealer incentive. It's a pretty decently priced vehicle as it is, and Chrysler's pushing very hard with some very aggressive marketing. I mean, Chrysler is an amazing success story. 3 years ago, almost to the day, remember Chrysler went bankrupt.
I think I recall.
Well, 2 weeks ago, Chrysler reported $250 million in profits for the first quarter, and it's basically propping up Fiat because, of course, Fiat's in Italy, and Italy's the worst basket case ever. So
really?
Oh.
So who owns Fiat now?
Well, Fiat owns Chrysler, owns 58.5% of Chrysler.
Okay.
But Fiat is unprofitable because its major markets, South America and Europe, are,
Okay, well, the advertising genius Frank Palmer told me that J-Lo in a Fiat doesn't fly. Bad ad. You don't buy a Fiat because J-Lo's in the Fiat. Maybe that has something to do with it. Doubt it. Okay, GMC, who knows? GMC Sierra.
Well, you know, this is one of the twin pickups. So GMC Sierra and the Chevrolet Silverado. You know, again, this is the 4th and 6th best-selling vehicles in
Women
Canada.
buying them?
You know, everybody's buying them. But one indication of economic recovery is sales of pickup trucks, because they are very much work vehicles.
Right.
And one of the reasons pickup trucks, Ram, Silverado, F-Series, Sierra, these are all selling because essentially the economy is better than it was 3 years ago.
Fuel efficient, any of them?
Well, some of them can be. Ford had introduced this 6-cylinder engine called EcoBoost, which is turbocharging and direct fuel injection, which what that means is you get a 6-cylinder engine that has the performance of a V8. And they're selling, they're sold out. People are looking for some level of fuel economy, and you're going to see the new Dodge Ram, which will arrive in the fall, completely redone. It's going to have a V8 with the same fuel economy as the current V6.
Okay, and the Chevy Silverado, fuel efficient?
Well, not so bad, but a huge bargain. I mean, you know, there's somewhere between $12,000 and $16,000 worth of incentives on both the Sierra and the Silverado, because they're old pickups. They're the oldest pickups in the marketplace in terms of styling and engineering. There's a new one coming, new versions of these two trucks coming sometime next year. So these vehicles are selling on price more than they're perfectly functional.
So pick me up on your way down, however it goes. Honda Civic.
Well, I mean, you know,
always around, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah, but sales are sliding, and Honda. The gap between Honda's Civic is the best-selling car in Canada, but number 2 is the Hyundai Elantra. And if Hyundai could get more Elantras from the factory in the U.S. South, it probably would outsell the Honda Civic. I mean, the Civic is there's the Elantra, and you know, I mean, that is a much you compare. You look at that, and you just saw the Civic. That's a much nicer looking car.
Well, it had huge play too.
Oh. And you know, it's affordable. It starts around $15,500. Nicely styled, direct fuel injection, excellent fuel economy, nice ride, handling. So I mean, Hyundai is an automaker that maybe
to be reckoned with. Yeah, and Kia too.
Well, they're twins, right? Kia is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hyundai, and you know. I mean, both these companies have had 40 straight months of sales increases in Canada. People, you know, Canadians are not afraid to buy Hyundais and Kias anymore. You know, they don't rust, they aren't problematic. So.
And the odd Ford Focus.
Yeah, well.
Runs around the track, but we're out of time. But I know you like that car, right? Okay. The Ford Focus person?
Yeah, I do like to drive it. I think it's a little overpriced, but there's a nice fat incentive on that one too.
Okay, fat incentives. Don't we like that?
It's always fun visiting you with you.
Well, nice to see you again.
Yes.
And Shaw reminds you the 2012 Fill the Food Banks campaign continues until May 11th. For more information, visit togetherisamazing.com. We also want to announce a change in our format at the end of May. Studio 4 will wind down, but I'm not going anywhere. Well, that I know of. Better not. I will be hosting a brand new show beginning in mid-June called Fanny Kiefer. The show will still feature great guests like him and compelling conversations you have come to know on this program. We'll have more information on that in the coming weeks. It'll be one day a week, and we're going to have fun and turn it up and all of that in Studio 4. 12 years, 12-year run. Well, in this biz, they give you 12 years, then they say, we're going in a new direction. That's good.
Yeah, and you get 12 minutes of notice.
But you're not going in the new direction. That's good.